Stop looking at revenue growth as a proxy for health. In 2025, IBU-tec didn't just report numbers, they performed a structural heart transplant. We're dissecting the LFP pivot, a strategic evolution where a German mid-cap is trading bulk volume for high-IQ battery IP. Think of it as swapping a heavy, inefficient coal engine for a sleek, high-voltage solid-state cell. It's leaner, it's meaner, and it's perfectly positioned for the EU's localized supply chain mandate. Here is the glitch in the matrix. Revenue down 12%, but EBITDA up over 350%. To the untrained eye, a double-digit top-line drop is a red flag. To us, it's a masterclass in strategic pruning. IBU-tec deliberately cut the fat, specifically low-margin legacy glass coatings, to feed the muscle of their battery materials segment. They essentially fired their worst customers to make room for Volkswagen. It's like losing 20 pounds of fat and gaining 10 pounds of muscle. The scale says you're smaller, but you've never been stronger. Let's talk liquidity. IBU-tec swung from $6.6 million in net debt to a net cash position. In a high-interest rate environment, that's not just good accounting, it's a tactical fortress. Their operating cash flow grew by 55%, which is enough to buy every employee in their Weimar plant a top-spec EV and still have change for the Bitterfeld expansion. They've moved from being a borrower at the mercy of banks to a self-funded innovator. This 850 basis point margin expansion is the smoking gun of their efficiency. Look at the material ratio. It plummeted from 55% to 38%. Why? Because they stopped being a price taker in the tin-intensive glass market and started being an IP provider in LFP. They stopped buying expensive lunch and started owning the kitchen. When your material costs drop by nearly 40% while your profit per ton increases, you aren't just a chemical company anymore. You're a technology platform. This is a textbook, sunset versus sunrise strategy. Battery materials grew by 80%, now making up 40% of the pie. Meanwhile, they are sunsetting legacy chemicals like a controlled demolition. It's a cannibalization play. They are eating their own slow-growing limbs to grow wings. By 2030, this company will be 70% battery tech. If you're still valuing them as a specialty chemical firm, you're essentially trying to value a Tesla gigafactory based on its ability to produce toy cars. Phase 2 is about scaling the Made in Europe moat. This isn't just about chemistry, it's about geography. In 2026, being local is the ultimate luxury. IBU-tec is moving from laboratory pilots to becoming a critical node in the European industrial hub. They are moving out of the garage and into the arena. IBU-Volt LFP 400 is the VIP pass to the EU battery market. Why? Because it avoids the 10% UK-EU rule of origin tariffs that haunt Asian imports. Plus, it has a carbon footprint 40% lower than its Chinese rivals. In the era of the carbon passport, every ton of IBU-tec LFP saves an OEM like VW 1 ton of CO2 per car. They aren't just selling cathode powder, they are selling compliance as a service. The roadmap to 15,000 tons is fully financed. Weimar is the sandbox. Bitterfeld is the fortress. This expansion represents a 5x capacity jump. To put that in perspective, 15,000 tons of LFP is enough to power roughly 250,000 mid-sized EVs annually. That's enough to put a battery in every car in a medium-sized European city every single year. This is where IBU-tec hits the economies of scale sweet spot. Let's be real, client concentration is the elephant in the room. Being tethered to VW's PowerCo is like being the exclusive caterer for a royal wedding. The paycheck is huge, but if the bride gets cold feet, you're in trouble. However, with milestone payments and over 100 global prospects sampling their powder, IBU-tec is diversifying their eggs while making sure the main basket is made of reinforced steel. LFP is the bread and butter, but LMFP and sodium ion are the secret sauce. By eliminating lithium and cobalt dependency in their sodium ion research, they are essentially building a hedge fund against commodity price volatility. If lithium prices spike, they pivot to sodium. It's the ultimate plan B that might eventually become plan A. It's a backup battery for the battery company. The recycling moat is where the loop closes. Turning black mass into green mass isn't just eco-friendly, it's a strategic resource grab. By processing battery waste into fresh production feed, they are turning their trash can into a gold mine. In the future, the company that owns the recycling loop owns the raw materials without ever needing a mine. IBU-tec is wearing a green tuxedo to a smoggy party. Their 40% CO2 advantage isn't just a PR stunt, it's a financial weapon. As the EU tightens fleet emission targets, OEMs will pay a premium for materials that lower their average footprint. IBU-tec is effectively selling carbon credits disguised as battery powder. Skin in the game matters. The Weitz family and management own nearly 50% of the company. These aren't just hired guns chasing a quarterly bonus. They are the pilots who actually own the plane. When the management's net worth is tied to the 2028 ramp-up, you can bet they aren't going to pull any eject handles. We've mapped the minefield. Precursor supply from China is the biggest threat, but the mitigation, sourcing Western iron phosphate and recycling, is already in motion. They aren't just hoping for the best. They are building a map of every pothole in the global supply chain. By 2030, we expect revenue to triple to roughly $150 million United States dollars. At that point, IBU-tec will be a battery company that happens to do chemicals on the side, not the other way around. This is a prediction of a game that's already halfway won. The operating leverage from the Bitterfeld plant will turn this from a high-growth story into a high-profit reality. The verdict? This is a structural buy-in between the net cash fortress, the European LFP monopoly, and the insider alignment. IBU-tec has built a moat that's hard to bridge. They are betting on the house that owns the bricks. If you believe in a localized European EV supply chain, IBU-tec is the toll booth you have to pass through. That's the deconstruction. If you want the full-page underlying dataset or our proprietary LFP market forecasts, reach out to us at sales@HDINresearch.com. Don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts on the LFP versus sodium-ion race. Hit that subscribe button for more MBB-level analysis, and follow us at HDIN230. See you at the next deep dive.